Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, Senior Editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Hi, this is Amy Fishbach, Field Editor for T&D World magazine. Thanks for tuning in to the Line Life podcast. For this episode and our In Case You Missed It series, we are featuring the final article in the 2024 T&D World Lineworker Supplement titled Problem Solvers. Due to the length of this article, we will be featuring it in two different parts. The first part will feature Robert Seekell and also James Coleman and Gabe Dowdy and the inventor of the hook holster. For part two, we'll put two other inventors in the spotlight, namely Bruce Thompson and Tim Barrett, who are both featured in interview-style episodes for the Line Life podcast. So look forward to the second part, coming soon for the Line Life podcast. In the meantime, here's part one of the audio story, Problem Solvers. And this article was written and is also narrated by me, Amy Fishbach. Problem Solvers. Through persistence and creativity, these inventors are helping to solve long-standing challenges in the field. Inspiration for a new invention can strike when line workers are climbing a pole, working out of a bucket, or even in the middle of the night when they should be asleep. When they encounter a problem in the field or an obstacle to overcome, they don't just stand by and wait for someone else to devise a way around the issue. They take it into their own hands and try to make their dream a reality. I have been taught that if it were easy, everyone would be doing it, says lineworker Rob Seekell about inventing tools for the trade. I say that if your heart is right and you have the motivation and knowledge, go for it. I feel anytime anyone brings a tool to our trade that improves safety and production at the same time, it will sell and is a win-win for our industry. By bringing the idea swirling around in their heads to the shelves of a local warehouse, they can then help other line workers to be safer and more productive so they can come home safely to their loved ones each night. Line workers are the unseen heroes of the grid, said Tim Barrett, line worker turned inventor and CEO. They experience challenges every day, and they have the ability to use their skills and knowledge to innovate and create solutions that can make a difference. The following line workers didn't achieve success overnight, but through persistence, dedication, and the drive to make a difference, they were able to fill an unmet need in the marketplace. Meet a few inventors and learn how they brought their dreams into reality. Securing 7 patents. Seekell, an inventor in Kuna, Idaho, spent 26 years in the field as a line worker and trainer. He started working around power lines as a line clearance tree trimmer with Asplin Tree Expert Company. In 1999, he was accepted into the California-Nevada JATC, and he was on his way to a great career. Throughout his time in the trade, he worked many ice storm jobs on the northern west coast and fire jobs in Southern California. He says when it comes to line work, safety should be top of mind. I told younger apprentices and students when I was training that the right thing is not always the easy or popular thing to do, he says. I love this trade and have the passion to help our trade be the safer place to work. After recently working as a remote transmission and distribution inspector for PG&E, he is now a corporate quality control manager for Wilson Construction. His home IBEW local is 291 in Boise, Idaho. He is also the owner of Seekell's Innovations, LLC, in which he develops lineworker tools that bring safety and efficiency to the trade. Seekell holds 7 U.S. patents relating to line work and improving the grid. Back in 2017, he noticed many industries were starting to test drones, and companies were introducing new advanced conductors into transmission circuits, which inspired him to invent stringing blocks. Being an OSHA instructor and T&D certified trainer, I saw the need for a safer, lighter, and more efficient stringing block, he says. He then designed a stringing block with the first radius shape made of non-conductive materials and aluminum. Line workers can mount it to the top side of a pole's crossarm or remove the pivoting base and hang it with the transmission and distribution models. When line workers are wearing rubber gloves, they no longer need to lock in conductor with wing nuts or pins. Instead, they can install a base within seconds to a crossarm due to the fast ratchet assembly. Line workers can lock the spring-loaded gate in an open position with a hot stick to allow a rope or conductor to be inserted into the block. When the block is energized on the stringing block insulator, The line worker can transfer the conductor out of the block and stay out of the second point of contact. The radius blocks can also operate as a grounding block with a new grounding assembly that pins to the side of the block. It is the first stringing block designed for drone stringing technology taking off around the world with a non-conductive fly arm, he says. They will also allow new age advanced conductors into our distribution circuits that need a larger bend radius than current blocks. Seekell partnered with Meta Design and Manufacturing in Vallejo, California to produce the blocks. The radius blocks have been improved with a stronger and wider design, and the fourth generation of design will be released. After listening to customers, he also designed 3 different models. An all-aluminum model, which will only hang for transmission with a high workload limit, and 2 lightweight Delrin and aluminum models of 10-inch and 20-inch sizes. Seekell says Meta is now a licensed manufacturer for all 7 of his patented tools, including the Seekell's Line Lifter, or SLL, worm gear support tool, stringing block insulator, and hotline rotator tool. Throughout his years in the line trade and his time as an inventor, he said he would not be able to do this alone. My time in the trade, products I've invented, my skills and experience, I owe to God first, family, and many good pull buddies, said Seekell, who says to be on the lookout for more tools to come. I feel so blessed to tell this story and partner with Meta Design and Manufacturing team. The tools they will be releasing bring safety and efficiency to our great trade. Partnering with lineworkers. James Coleman, owner of Pinnacle Power Services, launched his own design firm, Meta Design Manufacturing, in 2016 in the San Francisco Bay Area. After working in the industry for 20 years, he recognized the need for innovation and development. With an engineering background, the U.S. Navy veteran started his own small manufacturing company and patented 2 personal grounding devices. Along with producing Seekell's inventions, he also works with other line workers to bring their ideas to market. It's all about looking at what the requirements are, why we have done it this way for so long, and not doing something about it, he says. I love teaming up with line workers who are out in the trenches, are super smart, and have some good ideas. When line workers have an idea for a product, he asks them to present the idea to his industrial design division, who specializes in interviewing and tries to extract what it would look like to take the idea from concept to reality. I've had guys show pictures of a napkin they sketched out, he says. We can use that, but there's a lot of back and forth with it. I talk to my guys, and if they think it's a good idea, we keep moving forward and spend the money to build the design and make a prototype to get out into the field. Then we decide if it has a wow factor or not. Typically, inventors have visions of making a lot of money, but there's a high cost to build something and bring it to market, Coleman says. We try to share success with the person who has the idea, he says. They need to have the right mindset for innovation, because it's a very stale industry and there's room for improvement. Let's go out and try. Coleman's Line Construction Company is one of the few privately held companies in the service-disabled market in California. He works alongside Gabe Dowdy, a journeyman line worker and president of the company, to run 23 crews. Dowdy inspired the invention of the Raptor clamp, which is designed to go on an overhead line. With a spring mechanism, line workers no longer need to use their arm strength to tighten the clamp multiple times on a line. We've gotten a lot of support from the crews, Coleman says. They're the ones out there getting their arms speed up using the old devices. His company also launched 2 new trailers, one for wildfire response and another one for pole handling and storage. In California, some utility companies are requiring contractors to fit a water tank and pressurized hose on their trailers, but line workers are not experienced firefighters, he says. His new trailer uses a hard hose that is very user-friendly, yet it meets all the specifications and adds value. To design the new pole trailer, he partnered with line workers to completely rethink the design of it and go back to the drawing board. By redesigning it from the ground up, they were able to add new features like framing arms, a workbench, and a step. Traditionally, line crews will use an old-style butler trailer in which they will fasten a cross-arm to the side with bolts sticking up to handle the washers. But the new trailer improves safety, especially on the road. Pole trailers are empty boxes and pose a danger to the highway, Coleman says. We designed it so everything that would go into a tool bin was covered, so it wouldn't fall off and hit a car. We also included a step to get into the trailer because there's no way to get into the back if you're getting material, and it takes unnecessary strain to climb in there and climb up and down. Safeguarding the field workforce. The next line worker inventor, he wanted to not be named, has worked in the line trade for the last 15 years and served his apprenticeship at a municipality in the Midwest. He became interested in the line trade while researching career options in high school. I was looking for a hands-on job that would help people, provide a stable income for my family, and couldn't be outsourced, he says. I also wanted to be able to enjoy the great outdoors. In addition to working as a journeyman line worker, he also works for Hook Holster. He recently guided products through the design for manufacturing process, which he says is no joke. You literally have to break the product and remake it in order to make sure that all the elements of the product's form and functionality translate correctly, he says. I also make design improvements based on customer feedback and assist in promoting it. He says many tools of the trade haven't evolved much since the 1950s. There's a lot of jobs where the tools leave something to be desired, or maybe the tool we want doesn't even exist. But it sparks innovation, he says. We tinker, find workarounds, or even invent new things. I appreciate how many line workers out there have come up with tools that make the work safer and easier for all of us. It's cool to be a part of that. He invented the Hook Holster based on both his personal experience and talking to the line workers around him. He realized that the existing gaff guards were easy to break and too easy to lose, whether it was in their bag or out on the job site. That means you've got sharp spikes in your bag that could tear through your bag, cut some of your equipment, or dull your gaffs, he says. I've even heard multiple stories of people getting cut when they accidentally make contact with their uncovered gaffs, either while reaching into their bag or while carrying the bag to the job site. I wasn't aware of any ways that linemen were addressing this challenge other than just treating their gaffs as being potentially always uncovered. It was clear to me that a more comprehensive solution needed to be created. He called the patent-pending product Hook Holster because line workers often call their climbers hooks, and you would often holster something requiring a protective covering when not in use. The Hook Holster uses a very simple process. Load it onto your gaff, lock it on, and it's ready for storage, he says. When you need to climb, simply unlock it off your gaff, unload it with your boot if you want, and then secure it onto your ditty bag so it's ready again when you climb back down. Along the way, he made a few key modifications based on customer feedback. For example, he couldn't decide between blue or orange for the product color, but then he started hearing that it needed to be a high visibility color to contrast with the blue tarps line crews use at linemen's rodeos. Also, he heard from customers that it needed to be extremely visible, even in low light conditions, so they added a high visibility reflective component to the label. He says it's his goal that the Hook Holster is the most commonly used gaff guard by line workers and arborists in the United States and internationally. The most common response is wow, followed by it's about time somebody came up with a better way to do this, he says. He says if line workers have an idea for an invention, they should stick with it. There will be a lot of challenges along the way to developing and launching a new product, but if you really believe in your idea and that will keep line workers safe and make the work easier and better, it's worth staying committed all the way through. Study the process as much as you can, from the patent process to manufacturing to marketing and sales. To listen to the rest of this audio story, make sure you check out Part 2, which will be available at linelife.podbean.com. Thank you so much for listening to the Line Life Podcast.
This episode of the Line Life Podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You could also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.